This video is presented by newwoodworker.com. Being able to change bits above the table is a huge draw for many woodworkers, but the Woodpecker Sidewinder router lift has a lot more. Notice the 3/8 inch thick plate, the 1 inch steel columns, and the heavy motor carriage. Add the flawless CNC machining to the high quality materials and you see why Woodpecker's lifts are so well liked. The motor carriage itself is large and very tough to make sure that the router stays exactly where you want it. The 3 shoes seen here are at the heart of why the motor is held so tightly in this carriage. All of the shoes are retained by this simple bolt and washer system that fit in the slots in the side of the carriage. First I'll slip my Milwaukee 5625 motor into the carriage. Then tightening these 4 screws on one of the shoes secures the motor into all 3 of them. This is a very simple looking system that obviously took a lot of engineering to get it to work so well. This flex cable is the first part of the lift mechanism that we'll install. The only connection at the motor is putting this coupler on the threaded shaft. Then we have to drop the motor's cord and the flex shaft in through the hole so we can set the router plate in place. And as usual, the Woodpecker's plate fits the hole perfectly. The plate has leveling screws on all 4 sides, but I've already done that part of the installation. The hand crank plate bolts right up to Woodpecker's tables, but in the other ones you have to drill a couple of holes and that's no big deal. Woodpecker supplies these flathead bolts with a kit that get out of the way of your knuckles while turning the crank. After connecting the flex cable to the handle, we can give that a few turns to make sure everything works smoothly. Then we can lock it in place with the locking knob. And that's it for the installation. This one took me about 30 minutes to install on my table. Everything's built nicely and the instructions are well done, so this is an easy project. Now I can use a quick lift rod to bring the carriage up so we can put a bit in it. And that's really all there is to bringing the motor up to change bits. After installing the bit, I used a quick lift rod to put the bit down to about the height that I want to use. Once you get used to this system, you can be surprisingly accurate with it. And I'll install one of the 3 insert plates that's supplied with the kit. You just drop them into the recess and give them a quick twist with the wrench that's provided. And then I can use the hand crank to fine-tune the height of the bit. That crank makes this very easy and very accurate. This circular scale on the table surface shows you in real time the changes that you're making. Each of the hash marks represents a change of 1/1000th of an inch. If you can't get it right with this system, you're just not trying. When you're satisfied with the setting, turn this knob to lock the crank in place. To see if the bit height would stay put during use, I've carefully measured this height and zeroed out my dial indicator. I made 9 1/4-inch deep passes through this oak for the test. After brushing the dust off the table, I set the dial indicator back on the bit and it went right back to 0. Woodpecker's also includes a steel starting pin that can go in any of 4 locations around the bit. That starting pin and the stability of the Woodpecker Sidewinder router lift make this an easy cut. No matter what kind of work you do on a router table, I think you'll find that the Woodpecker Sidewinder router lift makes your work easier, faster, and probably a bunch more accurate.